I've been interviewed many times over the years about rage. It's always the same questions that interviewers ask. Here are a few of them. What does rage look like? Expressed rage looks out of control, scary, dangerous. It can also look foolish. Far more common, though, is suppressed rage. That's when you hold it in and it looks like the body's been dipped in plaster. Rigid muscles, enlarged veins in the face and neck. What are the causes of rage and what motivates a rage attack? Rage is an extreme form of anger with aggressive impulses that are pretty intense and almost always caused by perceived threats to rights, status, property, personal boundaries. Perceived, not always actual. Ordinary anger rarely turns into rage without underlying chronic resentment. Raging people are highly resentful. They feel like victims. And the resentment keeps them always a little bit aroused because resentment never really resolves. So when something triggers them, they're not starting from baseline. They're starting from about 30% arousal already. When perceived injustices build to intolerable levels, any offense, large or small, can trigger rage. They're dismissive of other perspectives. Actually, they don't perceive other perspectives, and they're intolerant of ambiguity. They engage in black and white, all or nothing thinking. They're easily insulted, show little compassion, and have an embittered entitlement. With all that I have to put up with, I shouldn't have to wait in line too. Are you more cognitively impaired when drunk or angry? This question comes up because I've actually stated that in articles. Recognize temporary limitations. That's the whole idea. If you recognize that you are limited in cognitive processes when you're very angry or even resentful, it won't do as much harm. And this is what that would look like. I'm presently in an impaired mental state that reduces my ability to grasp ambiguity or any nuance of situations. Adrenaline makes me exaggerate threat and oversimplify complexity. Degrades my judgment and obscures other people's perspectives. It deteriorates fine motor skills. I'm more self-righteous than right, less in control of impulses and frustration. I should not try to drive, negotiate, analyze, or do anything important until I've regulated this temporary state that has prepared me to fight. And that's all it does, it prepares you to fight when I need to solve a problem or be more compassionate to loved ones. Do children have rage? Children have temper tantrums. They scream, stomp feet, flail arms. At worst, they throw things or try to hurt themselves or others. But how parents handle these tantrums is all important. Shaming or punishing children makes the tantrums more intense and frequent until they eventually do turn into rage. And it creates adult anger problems. Children who are shamed and punished for expressions of emotion will very often have anger problems as adults. We must compassionately put them in a place where they can't hurt themselves. Once they calm down, ask what triggered their distress and what they can do the next time to make themselves feel better. So you always bring it into the future. You're not punishing them for the past. You're trying to help them self-regulate in the future. When you feel that way again, when you feel that way in your whole body, what can you do to make yourself feel better? And the bonus question is always, can treatment be successful? To control rage, you must control resentment, the baseline underlying emotional arousal. Now, the barrier to doing that is that all thought processes, while resentful, go to justifying the resentment and getting compensation or an ability to retaliate. That's all you think of when you're resentful. It's not fair. I deserve some kind of compensation. Never think about whether resentment, anger, or rage are justified. Rather, are they good for me? Do they help me be the person I most want to be? Do I want to build more value in my life or focus on feeling devalued? Once resentment or anger becomes chronic, that means it's habituated. Your brain does it automatically when there's even the slightest offense or slightest perception of unfairness. Effective treatment requires reconditioning the emotional system. After several weeks of practicing skills, anger regulation becomes automatic. Without having to stop and think about it, you'll automatically shift from making bad situations worse to making bad situations better.